Okay. So representing the coaches today, we have wide receiver coach Dennis Springer and linebackers coach Tim McGarigle. We'll go right into questions. Again, just message me on the side. And we will start with Eric.
Yeah, hi. Question for Coach McGargle. Eric Mueller's a guy that doesn't get a ton of coverage on the team, doesn't play a ton. But what could you say about his work ethic, both on the field and off the field, as one of the few pre-med majors on the team?
Sorry, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Eric Mueller's, he's a senior veteran in our room. He's one of our main guys on special teams. You know, when Coach Jenick talks about core special teams guys over the last couple of years, Eric Mueller's the guy that comes up. Over the last couple of years, he's been one away from playing on defense. So he brings a lot to this defense, a lot to this linebacker room, but most importantly, a lot to game day, contributing on special teams at such a high level, being a main contributor to winning football games over here for 3 years now.
Do you have a follow-up, Eric?
Yeah. He had mentioned to me, Coach, that in the spring you had asked him to give the linebackers COVID updates during practices. Is that true?
Yeah, I got a doctor in my room, and I got his dad's a doctor, his mom's a nurse. I mean, we're trying to, get straight from the source, not from anywhere else. So he's been great with it, just kind of keeping us in the loop on what's going on, not in the news, but in the medical community, and just giving us a different viewpoint as we see fit.
Noah?
Yeah, for Coach Springer, obviously the passing attack as a whole had its rough spots last year, and through 2 games, even though last week you guys didn't throw the ball that much, when you did, so many third down conversions, so many big time contested catches from your receivers. What have you seen from those guys, RCB and Kyrick in particular, in their growth from last year to this year?
Great question. I think, first and foremost is I think they have great continuity with Peyton, with our quarterback. And when you see him making those kind of catches, those contested catches in the games, it's about trust and timing with your quarterback as well. Again, their leadership probably more than anything else, and their belief in themselves and their ability to make those plays, I think it's finally paying off for them. Coming into this season.
No.
Yeah, and then especially against Maryland, we didn't see it quite as much against Iowa, but especially against Maryland, we had guys running free, in the secondary a decent amount of the time for some big plays. How much of that do you think was down to route running, and how much of it was potentially down to scheming up ways to get good looks on what Maryland was giving you guys?
It's definitely a combination of both. You put a scheme together to attack where you believe they're weak, but the players have to execute it. They have to execute the route. They got to get themselves in the right place. Sometimes you got to be able to beat man coverage, press man coverage. So it's definitely a combination of both. And I'm happy with where those guys are right now, with what they've shown in the first 2 weeks.
Zach?
Yeah, question for Coach Springer. We've had a lot of people talk today about the defensive backs and the big plays that they've been making so far. Obviously, your group of receivers are going up against them every day in practice. Is there something you've seen from those D-backs that have helped, explain their performance so far through the first 2 games, but also helped elevate your receivers' games so far?
The old adage, iron sharpens iron. It has been extremely competitive throughout the spring and throughout camp between the wide receiver room and the DB room. And it's a good, healthy competition amongst teammates. I think that room is as talented a group of DBs as we've had here, with a lot of depth. And they just work extremely hard to do things right fundamentally from what they're taught. And they work together. They share ideas. They share things that they see with each other throughout practice. And definitely, I think as good as they are, especially in their man technique, it's helped us, beat press coverage and all those things that we were talking about before. So their growth and development as a group has definitely helped our growth and development as a wide receiver group as well.
Eric?
Another question for Coach McGargle. Back to Eric just quickly. What's it like coaching a guy who has to balance his academics maybe a little bit more heavily? Obviously every student athlete has a lot of things they have to worry about. But particularly as a pre-med student, he's talked about having, long nights studying and stuff. What's it like coaching a guy like that?
You guys got me? Sorry. It's great. I mean, the main thing I got to talk about is I got to be on point as a coach. I got a smart guy right there. I mean, all Northwestern football player students are extremely bright and talented. But when you got a doctor in your room, man, you better be on point or he's calling me out if I'm screwing up some checks or some calls or some of that stuff. So, but he's an unbelievable kid. To be a pre-med kid and being, a one play away from being a starting linebacker in the Big Ten, playing on 4 special teams, you can't say enough about the work ethic that he has on and off the field in the classroom. And he's just a joy to coach, fun kid, smart kid, and gives this football family everything he's got. And then when he's out of here, he goes and studies all night, so you got to commend a guy like Eric Mueller.
True.
Coach Springer, the wide receiver room led by your veterans and Riley, Kyrick, and RCB. What's that been like for your ability to not only implement your offense to some of the guys who know it the best, but also kind of having the veterans teach the younger guys like Malik Washington to kind of how to make plays and kind of acclimate to this offense?
That's exactly right. Their leadership has been unbelievable since the change was made and we've been implementing the new offense. They understand we need everybody. So from that standpoint, as they learn and grow in the system themselves, they're passing all the information along to the young guys in the room, like Malik and like Wayne Dennis and those guys. So it's been unbelievable. I think it's an unselfish group from that standpoint. Everybody wants the ball, but again, they also understand that we need everybody in the room to have success. So they've been awesome from a leadership standpoint.
Noah.
Yeah, for Coach Springer again, against Nebraska this week, they've got a situation where they're going to be missing 2 guys from that starting secondary for the first half of play. So it doesn't seem like that would change up the scheme or anything, or that press man like you were talking about. But at the same time, that's 2 guys with different skill sets who are going to be in the game facing up against your guys. Does that change the way you guys prep for the week, knowing that you're going to be facing these 2 guys with this different skill set in the first half, and then likely back to those other 2 guys in the second half, if that makes sense?
Well, yeah, absolutely. You always study, from a standpoint of studying your opponent. We always study from a too deep perspective because you never know who's going to be in the game and all those kinds of things. So in planning for an opponent and planning for Nebraska, we've planned for their secondary from a too deep perspective to begin with. Again, does it change, scheme and anything like that? We are who we are. We're going to do what we do. From that standpoint, we always plan for our opponent from a 2D perspective.
Go ahead, Noah. Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah. Then when you talk about planning from a 2D perspective, is that a collaborative effort with the entire offense, or is that something you're looking at in the receivers room and then you're having a dialogue with Coach Jake about, here's what I see this week with these guys? How does that process kind of manifest itself?
It's definitely collaborative. I think Coach Jake does a really good job of having a macro perspective on our opponent. But obviously, within the wide receiver room, we study specifically those guys that we're going to be going against, especially, when teams get into man coverage and man coverage techniques and those kinds of things. And it's collaborative with the players as well. They have to do their homework. They got to do their study on the guys they're going to be going against every single day. So all that, is involved in putting together a game plan and how you're going to attack your opponent for sure. No.
Zach.
Question for Coach McGarigle. Looking at the play of the linebackers, we all saw what they did this past Saturday. We've seen them described on social as buzzing. We've just what do you think that group has been able to bring to the table? How have they helped energize the rest of the defense? And then just carrying on a really great lineage of Northwestern linebackers.
Yeah, those 3 guys are 3 of the most passionate guys, on this team and that I've had the chance to coach. But those stat sheets don't happen by accident. You don't get that many tackles if it isn't for the guys that are in front of you. We've been having some unbelievable D-line play. Jake Saunders came out, had the best game of his career. Joe Spivak, Ernest Brown, Tommy Adewale, Leota, and there's more guys that I'm forgetting and not bringing up. But those guys in front of us have been playing a really good football, and those are the guys that are the three guys. Those are the guys that these three guys will talk about first. Is the guys that are in front of them eating up blocks. It's hard to make tackles when there's offensive linemen in your lap, and that's not the case so far. And if those guys keep playing at a high level, it will allow those linebackers to do what they do, run over the top, play with passion, and make tackles, and hopefully keep it rolling.
Drew.
Coach Springer, last year, Northwestern's offense obviously had a lot of turnover and rotation at quarterback play. And this year, there's obviously a lot of stability with Peyton Ramsey as the unquestioned starter. What has that been like with your room? I know you spoke about earlier about your receivers growing rapport with Ramsey, but what's that been like with your receivers going week in and week out with the same quarterback in terms of preparation as compared to last year?
It's exactly what it is. It is continuity. You're able to build continuity within the system. Timing on routes. He's getting used to how Ramad and Kyrick and all those guys run different routes and different concepts. They understand when he's going to let the ball go, where he's trying to put it, and there's a consistency to that builds and breeds confidence within the offense and the passing game and within the system. So without question, it's a definite benefit to everybody, to the quarterback as well as the receivers and the tight ends and the running backs.
Noah.
Yeah, looking at routes sort of in general, so far this year, it seems to, again, it's a pretty untrained eye, like you guys have run a lot of variants. We've seen that we potentially didn't see last year, or didn't see as much last year. Yeah, some deep crossers, some deep inside curls, and particularly in third down situations. You guys had so many third down passing situations last week, and it seemed like we saw a variety of different
I don't
routes.
know if that's a good thing, Noah, but we'll
This is true, but hey, you could convert more than 50% of them. It's
it
better.
happens, right? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But you guys it seemed like you guys had so many variants in third down situations in particular, and routes. Has that been an emphasis in the offseason with Coach Jake coming in?
Absolutely not. And again, credit really goes to the players. In order to do all those things, they have to have an understanding of the offense. They have to have an understanding of the concepts that we're running in order to build, within the system. So again, credit to the guys for studying and being on point with learning what we're trying to do, what we're trying to get done. And it helps when you have variety, you have, different ways and different bodies and different people to get the ball to in those situations. Definitely helps you convert on third downs in those situations as well.
Zach.
Yeah, question for Coach McGarigle. Going back to the Northwestern linebackers and just the history of, over the years, just seeing time and time again, new guys stepping up. Is there a bit of a Northwestern linebacker brotherhood almost, you feel, just over the years, just seeing all the guys develop and then being able to step up when they get their chance?
Yeah, I mean, ever since Coach Fitz, really came into his own in the mid 90s, we've had a great history here, and the guys know it and they want to be part of it. And I think it's a big part of this program, a big part of this defense. And every year, who's the next man up? We got some young linebackers waiting for their turn, waiting for their chance. And, but we got three guys that are playing at such a high level that are, like I said, the passionate leaders of this defense, and they're going to continue to do it. Yeah, we feel like we have a good thing going here over the last 25 years and want to keep that.
Amit.
Question for Coach Springer. We talked to Kyrick earlier, and he mentioned the physicality of the wide receiver group and just said the need to be physical on the perimeter in the Big Ten. How have you instilled that mindset in them? How do you kind of build that mental toughness up? And how do you rate this group in terms of, some of the other groups you've coached in terms of their toughness?
It's like I said, it's a mindset, and it's a daily reminder. It's a daily action plan that you put together as far as how you practice, how you implement individual periods, and it's the players embracing that mindset as well. Again, for Kyrick to bring that up, obviously, it's a mindset that we continually try to build every single day in the wide receiver room. We have to fit into that head coach mode, and that's the benchmark, I think, of Northwestern football. You are going to get a physically tough football team, and our position is not exempt from that. So we harp on it every single day. We practice it every single day from, the individual drills that we do and the group drills that we do. Heck, we've done drills against our linebackers, in the past year. So again, it's just building that mindset every single day. And I think every group is different, from year to year. I like where we are as a position group, but I think, and Kyra probably, maybe mentioned this as well. We know we have to improve as we go through the season, a Big Ten football season, in order to be effective in that area. They might tell you that I don't know if I'm ever happy when we come out of a game or come out of a practice totally with where we are and from that standpoint. So we can always improve there. We can always get better, but it's a definite mindset that we try to build every single day.
All right. Thanks, coaches.